Hello everyone, welcome to Cabin Fever Crochet with me, Helene. Hi, how you doing today? What's been going on in your world? Well, it's been very busy for me. Started physical therapy a couple days a week, and with life and other appointments and things going on, I haven't had a whole lot of time otherwise, and that's why you haven't seen me in a couple of weeks. But I have had a little bit of time for crocheting, not a whole lot. So what I did was I was actually in the grocery store and I just decided to browse around a little bit. And I bought one a couple of years ago, and that was it. And I remembered, I really like this magazine. So I decided to get it. And it comes out, I believe, only 3 times a year, maybe quarterly. I'm not sure, but it is not a monthly magazine. And it's just crochet exclamation point. And this is their spring issue, so it's actually out on the shelves through April, if it's still available. And so I wanted to give you an review of the magazine so far, show you some of the patterns in it, and I worked up a couple, and I wanted to give you a review also of the patterns as well and show you the materials that I used. Hey, do you have these in your area? LaCroix, C-R-O-I-X. I just call them bubble water. It's just basic carbonated water and the natural flavor. And this is peach pear. I really like these. Tangerine, and there's a cherry lime, and a blackberry cucumber. Those are great. Love those too. Always need something to wet my whistle. This ear warmers I made a few years ago. I was just sitting here in my favorite sunspot in the wintertime and grabbed a ball of yarn. This is a wool. I think it might even be 100% superwash. I picked it up at a yarn shop, and it's a tapestry type of yarn. I don't know. I just picked it up in a hook and just started crocheting. Not even really sure what I did. I think it's a rib, but instead of going up and down, I went horizontally, and I tapered it in the back. I just did a single crochet narrowly along the back, and then I increased to the spot that I wanted, and then I began with the pattern. That way I don't have too much bulk at the back of my head when I wear my hair down, so it doesn't stick out funnier than it might normally. So, Crochet Magazine, pretty exciting. I cannot believe how chock full this magazine is with patterns. I mean, it's just amazing to me. I counted them, I don't know, quite a few, as you can see. And so we start from the top. There's really cute, then I'll go over some inside the magazine as well. Placemats and baskets and several spring sleeveless short sleeve tops and a caftan and this layering tank top, a couple of vests. This I love. I think I really like to make this. If I have the patience to do something of this size and it looks like all double crochet, I don't know. I like patterns that have, for something this large, little more going on that changes up from one row to the next, so it's just not all the same. Gets a little monotonous for me, but we'll see. I just think it's so super cute, and I'll show you on the larger picture. A market bag. I made the bag and I made the bowl, and I'll show you those. Got a real cute little wristlet, a couple baby outfits. I mean, it's just trivets, hot pads, Afghan, little sponge for kids, sponge mitt. I mean, I just can't believe how many. And it's $7.99 US and $8.99 Canada, which, considering if it just comes out 3, maybe 4 times a year, and with so many patterns, I thought that's extremely worth it. Then I thought, well, how good are the patterns going to be? And I'll go over that as well. And I like that it has so much inspiration. This shows a Plymouth yarn design and gives you the pattern number in there for a sweater. There's just a lot of inspiration, and of course with the advertisements, you know, I tend to like those just as much. And so just go a little bit page by page here and show you some of the designs. Here are the placemats. I think they're really nice looking. That's using the Lily Sugar and Cream. It's the regular home cotton, but I'm sure you could use it in any cotton that's going to give you the right body and texture for it. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but it looks pretty simple stitches to me. I thought that was pretty. I like the way that worked up. I mean, as far as in the picture, I have not worked it up yet, but I very well make those in the near future. And here are the baskets. It's a trio, 3 sizes, and the pattern is very straightforward. I made the real small ones. I made 2 of them. Oh, excuse me, in your face. Dropping my tag again. Oh, at least I can bend over to pick it up this time. Yeah, and I can put my own shoe and sock on now. Takes me a little while some days, but I'm getting there. I can get it done. So out of the 2 patterns that I made, I found mistakes in both. So, you know, with that in mind, I was thinking, oh, that's not a good start, 2 out of 2. And depending on how involved the pattern is, how much work, you know, on the other one, I'll get into that a little bit, and it kind of makes me wonder. I would hope that there are pattern testers and people that work these through before it's printed, and I know sometimes even if you do, you don't always catch it, but if you do get this magazine and you work it up, I'm just going to go ahead and in the description box below write down the corrections the way that I saw them and how they worked for me. Might not be exactly right, but on, just for example, on the baskets, on round 4, for all sizes, it says to chain 1 and turn. I don't think so, because if you turn, then you're going to wind up, the basket's going to be backwards inside out. So I didn't. I just kept working it around, and to me it looked right, and it worked up how it was supposed to. So I first, and I really, in that cute pattern, I like that. I like the little bit of texture on it. So I worked it up, and here it turned out. And this is the small one, except I just went up 1 more row. I always kind of have to do my own thing, you know, don't we all? To what works for us and envision. Sometimes I go straight exactly what the pattern says, but in this case I wanted it the height for some of these. These are the armor hooks, and the 1 row down, and because they do work up pretty tall, it was just a little too short, and they flopped over, and it caused the top of the basket to flop over. So what I also did, the last round is simply a single crochet, but I did a little extra finishing touch to finish it off, and I slip stitched in through both stitches all the way around, and it's not rigid, but it gave a little more structure to the top of the basket. So when I put all the different hooks in, it holds the weight a little more. You can see it still squishes together, and probably could go down even 1 more hook size than what it calls for, but I don't plan to move it around. So as it is just sitting on the table, and I have them spread out like that to evenly divide up the weight and to balance it, it just works out just fine. Really like it. Thought it was very cute. It was a fun little pattern. So the only thing that threw me at first was the chain one and turn. And like I said, I didn't. I just kept going in the round, and the pattern, to me, it looks just like it does in the picture with the texture and the pattern. So first I made that one, and this is in the Bernat, B-E-R-N-A-T, in their home. I meant to grab a skein of that. In their, I'm going to have to put the link. I'll put the, not the link, but I'll write in the below. In their home decor, it's like a recycle. It's tubular. It's mostly cotton, and it has just a little bit of mix of, I think it's 78% cotton, perhaps 22 nylon, I think. Sorry, I didn't have that information. I thought I grabbed everything I needed, but anyway, to show you what's what. So I happen to have some. I have a bunch of that. I really like it. I use it. I think it's great for bags and baskets, and even hats too, if you want a hat that has a little more warmth or weight to it, say in the fall or the very early spring. Then I made a second little basket, and I made a lid for this guy. Oh, that's cute. So this one I'm giving to my husband. He can put whatever in. Here's the inside of the basket, the bottom of it. And this is the same type of yarn, but I used the clay for the bottom, and I believe this is called Pebble or Pebble Beach, and then the cream colored one. And for the lid, I just winged it and made my own. And what I did for the lid is I did exact for what the bottom is, what the pattern called for, and then I added an extra round of single crochet to go over the edge and then down, because if I kept it the same size, and it's not, this would be the same circumference as this, and I needed it just a little wider to go over the edge and to create a lip for that. So I just added one extra row of single crochet around, and then in the back loop a row around, and then I did 2 rows of slip stitch, I believe, in the back row. I hope that makes sense. I just kind of did it as I went. And then, I could have, on the button, I could have sewed it down taut, but I just decided for a guy with bigger fingers, it would just be easier for him to grab if it was raised a little bit. I could just put whatever in. It fits on there pretty good. Once stuff is in it, it'll have a little bit better shape to it, and then the way I'm handling it and smushing down. But here, I'll show you the underneath side of this one and the inside. So I was real happy with that. That was a fun little pattern. Okay, so now the next, here's a pretty little top. I would do this, except I don't care for boat necks. For me, it just cut me too far across the neck, and I don't find it comfortable. Unless it was a little more draped, a little bit lower perhaps, but I thought that was very attractive. And here they're calling this a zigzag shawl, but it's super long. Look at that, it comes down past her knees, the scarf. And I'm sure that would be a pattern that you could modify to make it shorter and more narrow if you wanted to. This I really like. This is called lace trapeze tunic. I think that's pretty cute for summertime, for layering. I say that a lot, don't I? That this could be extended even longer. You could extend each panel if you wanted to to make it longer and have like swimsuit cover up, just to throw on. Have a little coverage there. And here's backside view, something light and airy. Or if you wanted more rear coverage as a tunic, I don't see why that couldn't be extended, even the in-between rows, just a little bit, to add a little bit of length depending on how tall that you might be. And this one I really like quite a bit. I'm contemplating this. There are a couple, Jay's Knit and Pearl Jam, a couple of hers that I want to work up that were on my hit list from last year, and I thought this spring, summer, I really want to do those. And but I think this is cute as well, and I have some yarn that is kind of perfect for that. Oh, and their sizes, let me tell you, they go from women's size small up to 2X, and chest measurements 49 up to from 35 to 49, and then the length 21¼ to 24¼ inches, just to kind of give you a frame of reference. And the patterns range from easy up to intermediate and intermediate advanced, and they also have a range from this number 5 bulky, and this is a number 3 weight. And we go back to this lace trapeze tunic, and that one is again an intermediate, and this is also calling for a number 3 weight. They used universal yarn bamboo pop light. It's a DK weight, so probably even a little lighter than standard number 3, and being that it's bamboo and a DK. So there is a range in here, and of course it is spring magazine. And this one, again, a number 3, a light and lacy tank. Very boxy shape if you are into looking like a square. That one might be for you. And here's an interesting little top. And this one, here's another one that I think I might try to make. It's the one that is on. This again, I think would make a great swimsuit cover up. It looks like it's very airy, and I think it would be very easy to extend the pattern, either the body of the pattern or the trim or both. And here it is in the pattern section in all white. And it'd be an awesome cover up. Or if you have cute little tanks or camisoles that you like to wear, but maybe you want to cover up the rest of your body or just have a layering look. Well, there you go. And that, to me, looks like it's probably, says intermediate, but just looking at it, it doesn't look very complicated. And with that being said, as long as the pattern is correct. Yeah. Okay, so here this goes up to 3X. So they're fit size small, and their changes for medium to 3X. So each pattern's a little bit different. The whole magazine is not just small to 2X. And because this is oversized too, the bust goes from 38 to 58 inches. So it is meant to be oversized. So it gives you an idea there. So I might make that one up this summer. It depends on how much time I have and how that goes. Here's the lace it up kimono cardi. That's different. It'd be very cute for a lot of different outfits and wear. And this one again goes up to a 3X. Here's the back of it. And it has lace. You saw the lace in the front? And this also has lace cinching on the side, so you can give it that ruched look where it's gathered and is pulled up on the side a little bit. And oh, here's the one. I just love this. Hoodies have got to be my favorite. This is called the Central Coast Cardi, and especially because I came from the Central Coast in California, and this is totally what I would have worn there, and the colors, and very summery, beachy kind of thing. Like totally, man. Let's go surfing. With the hood and this is a pocket. It's a self pocket. So you have this placket that tapers and then increases, and it's attached but open here. So you've got some little self pockets. You could even turn that, make a nice little cuff. Wouldn't that be cute? And oh, here we go. Got the finish. There shows you your hand in the pocket and a couple little buttons. I'm sure you could place the buttons wherever you wanted to. If you want just maybe a button, one at the top and another one in the center to close, or just two in the center. You could put the buttons wherever you want. It does have, I can see that they're buttonholes, but if you're creative that way, you just place the buttonholes a little bit lower wherever you want. And this is an intermediate, and it goes up to size 2X with bust measurements from 35.5 to 52. So again, this is oversized, which is great. That would be just cute little cover up as well. And here is the Farmer's Market bag. And this is the second piece that I made. And which side I put it on. Here is the finished piece. It's big. It's a big one. Oh, the colors are showing up pretty close, just slightly deeper than what they are in person. And nice bottom. Yeah, it is showing up much darker now as the lighting's changed. There's a lot of room in here, and I did slightly different on the button tab, but you can see how wide this is. I mean, my goodness, you can stuff a lot in here. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to use this as a market bag or a yarn shopping bag. Might do that. Now the tab was made in the pattern. You make this separately and then you sew it on. I didn't want to do that, so I just crocheted it on, hooked it on, did single crochets back and forth. I didn't even look at the pattern on that portion of it. Stopped where I thought it would be enough to flap over to the other side, and then I did 11 or 13 chains, I think it was, and slip stitched and then single crocheted back to the other side. Pretty much it. I think when I did back and forth, I did five single crochets across, and then I slip stitched over to the center, and then when I went back to the other side, and then I slip stitched across so it would be even. That makes sense, because I need to slip stitch to the center so that the tab would be centered. I just did it and it turned out how it turned out. I didn't feel like making it and sewing it separately. That way it's still kind of all one piece. The handle, I did a little bit differently too. The handle was this whole entire mesh stitch, and I could tell that it, it's if you put any kind of weight in it, even vegetables, lightweight vegetables, they do add up. I mean, I don't think I would use an open weave bag to hold a bunch of apples and plums and that type of fruit, but for your greens, I think that would certainly work. I don't know, though, if I put spinach in here, and then it just might color the fabric. So I think you could easily line this if you wanted to and just turn it into a big, like a tote purse. But anyway, so I wanted to reinforce this a little bit. I left my stitch marker in here, so if anybody does wind up getting the magazine and you want to do something similar, so where this begins, this is done all pretty much in one piece. And you get up to the top, and then you start working the handle, and it's a decrease. So you start at a certain section, you work across a certain section, then you decrease. Okay, so from where I began the decrease, which is in this deeper gray here, I went up 8 rows, and then I did 2 rows of single crochet, which count as 1 row of the double crochet mesh stitch, or it's also called the filet crochet. So I did 2 rows of single, and then I did 4 rows of the mesh stitch in the pattern, and then 2 rows of single. And when I got to the top, I did then 2 rows of single, and then you work the same on the other side, and it said to sew those together. And I thought, well, whenever there's a break in it, and particularly at the top, and this is where the stress point is going to be, I thought it needs to have some extra reinforcement. So I did a mattress stitch with the 2, and if you don't like that look, you could just continue with the mesh stitch all the way around, or just do 1 row of single here and 1 row of single on this side, which will keep this change up pattern here that I did. So then 1 and 1, you will just have the 2, and it'll look like this, and you can sew it together however you want to. But to me, that looks fine. I did the mattress stitch, and it does give a little bit more different stitch there, but it's at the top, and it reinforced it, and it gave it extra strength, because initially I did go up several rows just to see how that would do, and just like I thought, I could see the tension that it was going to really stretch this out, and for it to be, for me, of more practical functional use, then I wanted to have that extra reinforcement. And the yarn that I used, which I had quite a bit on hand, it called for Drops Paris yarn in a medium worsted weight. So number 4 weight, and this is considered a number 3 easy. And I agree with that only in part, and I think it could be an intermediate experience to, advanced-ish because of the mistakes in it. And I got pretty far, and I spent as much time, if not longer, figuring that out than I could have made 2 of these easily from the time it took to figure that out. I used, and I'll go back to that in a sec. So I used Yarnspirations. They're Caron cotton cakes. And unfortunately, these are just exclusive to Michaels. But I have seen them online at other sites, not in the United States. So if you have a Michaels near you, and this is only seasonal. They come out with this the very beginning of the summer, or at the really end of the spring. God, my eyebrows look weird. Do they look the lighting, like one looks darker than the other. Oh, well, I'm just going with it here. Just eyebrows. More importantly, the yarn, until I go in the mirror, and then that's going to be more important. But, you know, if you can find this or equivalent, it's number 4 worsted, whatever you choose, whether it's a cotton or acrylic or blend. And this is a blend. It's 60% cotton, 40 acrylic, and which I like because you get the strength of the cotton, but with a bit of acrylic, the 40%, it's not going to stretch out quite as much, and I like this for strength and resiliency. I love this yarn. I wish that Yarn Inspirations, Caron, would please come out with this earlier in the season, because people that do farmers markets or craft fairs or sell online or want to gift things for seasonal, then usually purchase it several months ahead of time, or at least come out with it earlier in the new year, if you would please, so we have access to it and can start making things so we have them ready for the summer, instead of coming out with the summer item just right at the summer, and sometimes by the time I get to it, it's fall already. So that's just my opinion on that. But I really do like this for certain things, for market bags, for summer hats, and this is in the colorway Hydrangea, and it's 3.5 ounces, 100 grams. You get 211 yards. It is soft, but it does have a bit of that string-like texture and feeling to it. So I don't know, have you used this? Have you made any garments out of it? I think that this would make a great swimsuit cover-up too, and because of the texture, and it would hold that, it works up real well for the mesh stitch, but it does, I can feel, I don't want to say rough, but kind of a string-like kind of feel, where there is more texture. It's not silky smooth, super cuddly, cushy, soft, but for the purposes that I use it for, I think it works great. And I'm going to show you a couple other things that I have made before in this yarn. So I like the pattern overall, my review of the pattern. It's fun. It's a 4-row repeat, and it's relatively easy to do. It's just that how it was initially written with the mistakes, for me, was confusing and took a lot to figure out, and could have just been my mindset for the day. If you're good at that, it might not be such a big deal for you. And I got really frustrated, and it was to pretty much, well, there's a mistake. You've got the base. There's a mistake here on this first row, startup row, and then I got here, and then it was on the next section where I got confused, and I took it out. I did it a couple times, thought maybe it was something I did. It was my 4th time doing that I finally figured it out, and I was about ready to just go, oh, forget it. But I like the pattern so much, and it's thought out really quite nicely, and the design of it, I think the person who did this is designed by N.T. Maglia, Maglia, and the N.T. and Maglia is written here as all one word, so I'm not really sure if it's someone's initials with their last name or what, but that's who it's designed by. And so I'm going to write my the corrections, and I'll list that at the bottom, so if you do get this and work it up. And the other reason why I would call it more intermediate is because you have to refer back and forth quite a bit, and it's little makes it easier to get lost kind of where you are, so you really have to pay attention to where you are, your stitch count. It's not one of those, to me, mindless sit in front of the TV and then crochet and count your stitches every so often. And because of the mistakes, and it wasn't the change until it came up this far, and some of the wording isn't real standard, maybe some shortcuts in there. You know how that goes. Sometimes patterns are really complete, and sometimes they're missing a little bit of explanation. I think there could have been a little more explanation in there, and it would have eliminated that, because coming up here, you skip the first double crochet. Well, it seems in the pattern that this popcorn stitch is being referred to as a double crochet, and it's not. It's a popcorn stitch, and that made it confusing to me, because I was attempting to skip one of these double crochets, and it worked out at first, but then I came around to the next row, and each subsequent row I was losing a stitch and didn't realize it until I got even further up. So it's another thing about this yarn. You can work it, you can undo it and rework it 3-4 times, and it doesn't fray, it doesn't pill, it doesn't split. Every now and then, sometimes I've had skeins where I've had 2 knots at least in one of these, and I've had others where I have none. And I've probably used 6, 8, maybe probably 10 of these out of different projects that I've worked with for the last 2 years. So I'll write those down in the description box, so you have that, and that is my take on it. I'm not saying that it's absolute, but that's how I got the numbers to work out for me, and made it a lot easier. So, oh yeah, and while I'm on this subject, the bottom, the base of this, and how much I used. I used 2 full skeins, almost full. I have a little bit left of the blue, and I did just work right from the ball for the most part until I got towards the top. I wanted these sections to come out even, and so I did cut and piece the color blocking in so it would have the same sequence color change as I did from the bottom. And then I also cut in the darker gray here, so I would have that gradient color. And then because I had more of the lighter gray left than I did the darker, and that's going to depend on how it's wound in the skein, because the further you, like in the center sections, you typically get more than the little bit in the center, or maybe this section is more than the little bit on the edge. So I just went with what I had left, kind of worked it there, and then the whole strap I did, obviously in the light gray, which kind of worked back to the beginning, the light gray here. So I have just a little bit left, not a whole lot of this medium blue, and I might make a beaded, do some beading and a little tassel, just clip that on here to have an adornment, but a little purse jewelry. But on this particular one, because of all the stitches and the texture, I almost think it has enough going on its own. And I'm kind of over it at this point as far as doing anything else to it. So what I did for the base and the trim and also the button tab is I purchased this at a yarn shop, not your big box, but independent. And this is Euro Baby. and they're baby soft cotton worsted. And it's similar in the fiber, this is 55 acrylic, 45 cotton, where the cotton cakes is 60 cotton, 40 acrylic. So 55, 45, close enough. The texture is similar. This is a little bit thicker, but I had it and I thought it went well with the two, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough of the hydrangea to go around. And I have one more skein of it, but I didn't want to cut into it for just a little bit. So I thought I would use this, and it worked out just fine. This yarn, I don't know if I would buy it again. It is not inexpensive for what you get either, and there's a knot, and the yarn splits really easily, and was a little irritating at times for me working with it when it gets hooked up on the on the hook. Okay, so oh yeah, and the couple other things I want to show you that I've made out of the cotton cakes, excuse me, is a market bag that I made last summer. That looks like a top, doesn't it? And this is Fiber Spider on YouTube. I'll put his link below. And this is one of his patterns. I don't know if he actually designed it or what, but it's a granny, and it starts off, you can see the square bottom, which is great for market bag. Holds, I think it's real cute. At first, these colors, I thought, oh, that looked kind of babyish. But I love how it worked up and very summery and happy and cheery. And I did cut into it at the end just so I could have the border the same and the trim. I don't even know if I cut into the trim. I might have just used what was at the end, or could have just worked out this way. But the color changes, you get this nice chevron effect. Color changes work up great. And here's one of the little beaded tassels that I do. So I thought something similar for the other bag, since I have some yarn left, or I just might save the yarn since I do have another skein of it in that blue, because that would be, they're great for summer hats, and I could add that to it for a brim. So I have that. And I make little summer ladies baseball caps, and I design it so there's a hole in the back for if you have a ponytail. And those I have put up. I'll bring them out some other time, but I had this still on the hat rack from last summer, so I pulled it. But this is one of the first little summer hats. Oh, this is some kind of boho color or something flower. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of it, but it's the same yarn. And I used, this is a hat pattern, like a beanie, and then I stopped short, and then I added a band, and I wish I wrote the pattern down, and I'm sorry I didn't. And I just kind of did my own thing with it, and then I did a little scallop trim to make it look like shells as well. And this is functional. Sometimes I put beads on the end too of my hats, on the end of the ribbon, and that you can cinch to as like a cinch tie, and sometimes I just tie them, but it is functional, so that way if it's windy, not cute, a hat on a hair warmers, but just to give you an idea, you can wear the bow on the side or on the back, but it's actually meant to like cinch tight if it gets windy. So I like doing the brims, so I can have them a couple of different ways, that I have them to where it's a little bit of a soft, oh my gosh, when it curves up, I'm starting to get tired, I can tell. But where it's turned up a little bit, or a floppy hat too. If you're outside and you're reading and the sun's coming around, it's getting in your eyes, you want a little more shade at the beach, or you're just incognito and you're hanging out. There you go, and cover your face. So I like them turned up too. Looks pretty cute. I wear that a lot. Sometimes I just keep it in my car with the sun. When the sun starts coming through on the driver's side and it's in my face, I'll just toss it on and have the flap over in one side, because the visor doesn't always cover the sun in your face. Even if you have one of those visor extensions like my car does, there still always seems that one spot that comes through. So yeah, they're lightweight and packable, and I try to get when I do hats, to get the edge to where it's tight and it's structured enough where it will stay up on its own without having to put wire. I saw a pattern of a larger hat I fell in love with, and I just don't see any other way around it but putting some kind of milliner's wire in it. But if I can get away from it, then it's just totally packable. You can just stick it in your tote or your little market bag, stick it in your tote bag or in your pocket or purse or whatever, toss it in the car. You don't have to worry about it getting tweaked and the wire bent and in a not so nice shape. Okay, so onward with the magazine. I think these are so cute. They're using existing flip-flops. So whatever your thongs or your flip-flops are, and they're crocheting around the part that goes on your foot and then attaching it and going up around your ankle. So you're not even starting from scratch. I just think that's super cute. What a great idea. Love those. And this is considered beginner pattern. And I love that there are two versions, and it's a lot in here where you have two versions. 3 different size baskets. I mean, to me, all these projects, even if you get a couple out of it that you like, it is worth it. Pays for itself. So this is using a number 2 fine weight yarn and beginner pattern. This would make a pretty spring scarf or cowl. Sweet Citrus Infinity scarf. That looks very easy. And you could do with fringe or without the fringe, and that is considered a confident beginner. And Barocco weekend, number 4 weight. So it's nice. There's a variety of skill levels, a variety of yarn weights and sizes and different versions. Here's the wristlet, which couldn't see very well in that little thumbnail picture. Super cute. Looks very easy. I haven't read it. It's just, to me, it looks like single crochet and post stitches. And I think that would be quite fun. And this is considered an intermediate, maybe because of adding the zipper. I don't know. They're talking about working in the back bar of the chain. I don't know. That could maybe possibly be just for one particular part of it. But I like that. I might work that up too. Those are always handy, and you could make a little longer. You could use this for some of your crochet tools. You could fit your little scissors and measuring tape and stitch counter. Oh, here's one of the little BB outfits. A little romper. So yeah, that's what they're called, a romper. Okay. I've been out of the baby loop for a couple years. Aww, but I like making I think baby things are cute though. It's darling. What is this? It's a Sunday pink dress. Huh. Okay. So you take a pre-made shirt. Oh, so you took a pre-made top and added an easy to crochet skirt and turn it into a cute spring dress. Wow. Clever, clever. And this is, so they have the range, the category of skill level is 1 through 6, and this is a number 3, considered easy. So on the same level as this bag, considered easy. I don't agree with that, not how the pattern is written at all. And you know, if, popcorn stitches are not hard to do, but they just take a little practice. And watch it on YouTube. Easy popcorn crochet stitch tutorial, and it's like, that looks pretty easy, and it is. Bath mitts. I started making this one, and I got as far as the front of one. I haven't finished it, and it is working with the Lily Sugar and Cream cotton, and I have quite a bit of it. It's not my favorite to work with. I like the yarn. I think it's very good quality cotton for its purpose, but for those of you who have worked with it, you know it's not the easiest on the hands, and for me it's very taxing, and it hurts after a little while, and so that's why it's not my favorite. But the colors are beautiful, and it's sturdy, and it works up really nicely for home type of decor. So cute. Have a little elephant and a little lion. And that's working up according to pattern so far, with just making the front panel of one. I don't see any mistakes. And his little face looks very easy, very straightforward, and it's considered easy. I'm sure the rest of it is. If I made one, the back's going to be the same, and you just crochet them together and do his face. So if I get that done, I will show that to you. And look at this, got a whole page of different doilies, coasters. That would make a nice little coaster. Pretty little outside picnic setting. So those are fun. Super simple doilies, it says, and that's an easy, a number 3 level. And 4 different doily options used in a medium worsted weight cotton. And those kind of rounded type of afghans here. Ocean Ripple Afghan. Do you make any of the round ones? I don't quite get how those would fit, other than maybe a child or something, or if you big enough, because you know people aren't typically that shape. So, or more rectangle, you know. I think they're really pretty. They would look nice as a decoration on the back of a sofa for sure, or a smaller version if you have a round table topper. I can see that, but as an Afghan, I don't understand how it's functional. So if you like them and make them, if somebody explain that to me, how that has worked out for you, and if you made them for yourself or someone else, what the person, is it for a child, or do you just maybe for a lap blanket perhaps? That might work a little bit better, I don't know. So anyway, here are a couple of hot pads and trivets, and I looked over the pattern. What's nice about these is that they're double-sided thickness, and it has the pattern for both the front and the back. I was going to work one up. I don't know. I have a thing for hot pads and trivets. I like making them. I like gifting them. They're pretty. They're useful. If I have fresh flowers, and I put it underneath the vase for that. I like to layer. I have different ones, different sizes. I might layer them, and it just gives some dimension and interest and color to the table. I use them for a lot of different things. I have different ones. I have vintage that I have picked up. One is my grandmother made, and other vintage that I've picked up, and I just have them all over the house. I really like them. So I think they're both pretty, and so I'll probably wind up making that at some point. And this is number 3 level, considered easy, and they use the Premier Home cotton, but I'm sure any number 4 weight cotton would work just fine. So if you found one like the Hobby Lobby, I love this cotton. It's very, very soft to work with. So it's just if you're making something that you want to be thick and have more structure, texture, or body to it, then to hold its shape, and for the warmth, I mean, to absorb the warmth if you're using it for an actual hot pad. Point is, you want to go down and make it a little bit tighter, and it's another reason with some of those cottons that it's hard to work with, because you're working with a yarn that doesn't naturally glide. It's a little bit stiffer anyway, and if you go down 1 or 2 hook sizes, it's even harder. So this to me is a lovely, it's Azure Mist Afghan. Nice, lighter weight. Sitting out, you just picture that, sitting outside, crocheting, gets a little breezy. Put your little Afghan on. It looks like a very pretty pattern. And this is an intermediate. And here's a close-up. Is that it? So cute. Here, more inspiration. Just every page is full of inspiration. And then where the patterns are carried on. Here's another thing about the bag. Then when you're doing some of the finishing work and the strap and the assembly, then you have to refer here, and then you've got to refer back to the other pages for the stitch patterns that correspond with this. So that's why I say, it's a little more intermediate as far as figuring out any mistakes, and the referring back and forth, keeping track of your rows, your stitches. You need to either have a pad and paper, pen or a stitch counter or something, and you need to pay attention. And I even recommend, particularly until you really get going, to count every single row and make sure your count is correct. Because I thought after the second or third time, okay, I figured it out. And I kept going, oh no, not again, no. So that's it. That and the rest are just the continuation. So, here's something kind of neat, and this is in the back of the magazine, is Annie's Caring Crochet Kit Club, where you join the club and you get easy all-in-one project kits with the pattern and the materials to make, and then info about a featured charity and instructions on how to donate if you so choose to do that. I thought that was pretty cool. And then so you can go to kitclubsavings.com if you're interested in that. And there is a promo code, which I don't feel that would be fair to me to share this since it's part of purchasing the magazine, but 50% off your first kit. And I know anybody could go in the grocery store and pick this up and look at the promo code on here and take that if they wanted to, but I'll leave that up to you. I'm not going to do that, and I don't want to be infringe on any kind of copyright or step on somebody else's toes or that kind of thing. And you could probably just do a Google search online and find that too. But as an added bonus, they also have some free gifts on your first kit. So that looks kind of fun. I do like the hat patterns, and I love making hats. So I'm going to check into that a little bit more and just see. And I also saw, speaking of charities, and there are all kinds, I'm sure, in every area locally, I think on some of my pieces, because I'm starting to get a collection of things that I'm going to start donating to the Veterans Home and perhaps some other places, but that one is very near and dear to me personally. And also on Love Crochet or loveknitting.com, it's the same website. They have a roundup charity thing where you can make hats and scarves, and you send them to this one main hub, and then they donate them to different places throughout the country. And it's really neat. What they do is they'll just take the hat and they put a tag and it says, "Take me home, I'm yours," and they actually will hang them from trees in different places and areas where they're homeless or population or people that are in need, and not necessarily homeless, but people that are in need of extra warmth and something made with love, even all the more better. So that is my kind of show and tell of this magazine, and I just think it's fantastic, all these patterns. And I'm hoping that the two I did, as far as the errors go, that's it. And the other ones will be as they should, because working up a larger project such as a garment and you get really far, even this bag, that is just a lot of time to put into it, to have to take it all apart. And it's incredibly frustrating for me. And I just happen to be working with yarn that can handle it, but not all yarn is that way. And some of these lighter weight yarns that materials that I want to work with, are not going to be able to handle that. So I really hope that they're going to be correct. And as I progress with that, I'll show you some of the finished projects. But sometimes it takes me a while to get to things, and I have other things lined up that I want to do crochet-wise too. I can't believe this is over an hour. And so if you've stuck with me, thanks. Kudos to you guys for hanging in there. And also my announcement. I should have made my announcement at the beginning, really, because it's about me. But I've lifted my vacation. My vacation was really medical leave hold on my Etsy and my eBay shops. So the links are below if you want to check them out or have anything in need for for yourself or someone else. I just want to put a little plug in there. My Etsy shop is jewelry, my original design jewelry that I make, and you've seen these before. These are Czechoslovakian glass beads and Swarovski crystals with a mix of the ear wire is sterling silver and 14 karat gold filled. The mixed metals not showing up so well here, but the findings is sterling silver, and beads are a little bit different each side, glass beads. So that is on my Etsy shop, and of course crochet, right? And eBay, I have skincare, cosmetics, and assorted offerings, things such as bags, shoes, clothing items here and there, as I pick them up and gently used and go through my own closet, move them along. Nice pieces. So just, if it's still in really good condition, or if it doesn't fit, or something I haven't worn very much, or, you buy something and later on, what was I thinking? Why did I buy this? So not me, or I'm buying it because it will fit. I've learned just yeah, not to do that. It either is or it isn't, does or it doesn't. And sometimes it works out, but other times not so much. So for things I might pick up along the way. So sorry for the glare, the reflection of the light in the back. Well, the sun went down and it's getting dinner time here. Gotta feed the girls. All right, well, good to see you. Thanks for coming back and joining me again. All right, and I hope the next one won't be as long, but thanks again for sticking around. Okay, until next time, take care of yourselves. And as always, cheers.